Hey everybody, it's Gypsy, and welcome to On the Edge of Appalachia. Today is Saturday, September 6th, 2025, and it is my first day going back to vending after our summer break. And I am going back to my drive time talk because, well, it just entertains me while I'm driving into the flea market. It does. I kind of like, need something to do. Thought I would do this, and yes, it does kind of mess up my algorithm because I'm not talking about gardening, which is why I have trouble in the winter because I'm like, what do I talk about? Because there's no gardening here in the winter. Anyways, about a week and a half ago, when I did my first actual drive time talk when I was going to the flea market to set up, I talked about, I think it was called A License for Love, is what I called the video. So, this is needing a license for everything. Not only is it a money maker for the bigwigs, it's a means for them to control us, to keep track of us. Okay, so this is what happens when you allow governments to get too big. Okay, these kind of things start happening. Now, in the United States, the government was never meant to get this big and have this much control. All the control was meant to be the people's. I don't truly believe that the founding fathers, one, intended for there to be political parties or for us to lose our sovereignty. Now, although I do believe that, yes, we are probably, and I'm not even sure about this anymore, the freest country in the world, we have lost a lot of our freedoms and our individual sovereignty. Now, throughout my life, if I were to bring this up, we're the freest country in the world. Okay, nevertheless, we're the freest country in the world, and we are taught to talk ourselves into this. And if anybody decides to bring up the fact that we are losing our freedom one by one, then this sentence is to be stated and the person is to be made to feel as if they're spoiled. Now, here's the problem with that. In order to keep our freedoms, we need to stay on top of the situation. We need to stay aware. Okay, from day one, from the founding of this country, the citizens should have stayed on top of what was going on. We stopped paying attention. It's like, we started to trust the government too much. And we gave up our freedoms. And of course, they do this mostly through fear. Okay? They like, to create situations and then be the solution. Okay, so that's how we get here, and we're not paying attention. So whenever somebody brings up that point, that person is not being spoiled. This person is trying to hang on to what this country once was and should be and will be again. If we're not paying attention, we lose it. And if we don't use it, we lose it. So, there were never meant to be political parties, I don't believe. I think most of the founding fathers were against that. But to maintain our freedom, I think they could not really put anything in the Constitution to prevent it. There is, I'm not sure how it goes word for word, but it is, we have the freedom as individual Americans, to align with this group or that group, join this, join that, whatever, as long as it's not illegal. It's not a group that goes around killing people or something like that. So I think that made it hard for them to put something in the Constitution to prevent political parties. Now, here's my thing. We say we have political parties, too. First of all, I think having two is a big mistake. I think we need to acknowledge the Libertarian Party more. Because I guess I'm actually libertarian. I am not conservative or Republican like people want to think. But here's my thing. Democrat, Republican, conservatives, liberals, however you want to put it. And I've been saying this for years. I had to stop over the last couple years because same old shit. People freak out when you speak your mind and it doesn't agree with their mind. Two sides of the same coin. Okay. So really, although both parties appear opposite, I think they're actually maybe working in tandem together, or they're being controlled and paid off by the same people. So in order for there to be this great divide between the citizens, you need to create things to divide them. Okay, so that's what's really going on. They appear to be opposites, but they're not. They're just trying to create things to keep us divided. Because as long as we are divided, they can remain in power and remain strong and control us. Okay, so they need for us to be divided. If we're divided and we're fighting each other, we're not paying attention to what is truly going on. Okay, now, this is why I will say I tend to be more conservative, but I don't really claim to be one or the other because there's a lot of conservative issues I don't agree with, and there's, obviously a lot of liberal issues I don't agree with, and then again, there's liberal issues I do agree with. Okay, so, for me, it's on an issue by issue basis. Well, I need to... Oh, look. Is that a pheasant? I don't know if you guys can see it. It's really... Oh, my God. It's huge. Can you see it? It's going back into the woods. That is so cool. What a beautiful bird. It's huge. Anyways, yeah, it's all on purpose. Seems very, very opposite. Okay, so we have to stop that. Okay, now here's what's I have lived, it'll be 61 years in less than 2 months I have lived, and things have changed considerably. Okay, now here's a couple things. Let's say the trans community. I believe that yes, there are trans people, and yes, they are real. However, I don't believe that there is as many as they are trying to get us to believe. They have in some way exaggerated the situation. When I think about it, the way they may have done it scares me, because what I believe they do is find people who are having problems and find ways covertly to talk these people into something that's not true. Now, I believe there really are truly trans people, yes. And here's where I get complicated. Nothing is ever black and white. We like to believe it is, but it isn't. Yeah. Although I believe there are trans people. Look at this. I don't know if you can see. the colors on the trees are changing already. Although I believe there are trans people, regardless of what medications or surgeries, which both scare me. I worry about people because I've never trusted the medical community. You can never truly, and I mean truly, be the opposite sex. Now, if it's true, and I have my doubts about this, that it will help you to go through this transformation, then do it. And who am I to judge you anyways? Do your thing. But what I don't believe is that there are as many, okay? Because, when I was young, there were trans people, but there weren't this many, and it wasn't made like this huge thing, okay? So there was somebody or somebodies aggravating the situation to create a divide between the people. Okay, so we got that. And there was something else until I got distracted by the changing leaves on the tree. Nature always distracts me. Oh, look at that. Okay, you need to get away from the problems of the world and you need a break from it all. Go out into nature. It's so beautiful. Look at this. Isn't this gorgeous? It's better when you're actually out of the car walking in it. Yeah, and then I had something else I was going to talk about. Yeah, but that's one of the situations where they're creating a problem. And you know what? Here is something I have noticed. Okay, I do not trust the news. Also, what they claim to be mainstream media is mainstream media, but it's like the people calling mainstream media is also mainstream media, if that makes sense. But I will switch back and forth, especially if there's like a big story. Okay, so you're watching the conservative news, and there's this huge story that, and when I was younger, it would have been on all stations. I don't remember there being this blatant, huge, no, don't go. Yeah, they're heading south. It's scary. I hate when they head south because then it means, well, it's winter time. I'm always like, I see them flying overhead in the fall. Like, no, don't go. Okay, yeah, nature did it to me again. What was I talking about? Besides geese. Wow. I need to get out the parag. I don't need to worry about my gray hairs. I just need to dye my hair blonde. Yeah, so, trans existed when I was young. It was not like this huge dividing issue. I mean, yeah, I don't understand it. How can I? I've never had, and I don't feel that I need to. What I need to do is be kind to people, regardless of who they are and whether I understand who they are or not. So what I mean is, by them, and I'm talking about the powers that be, shoving this down our throat, it also creates division. Because when you shove something down somebody's throat against their will, you get resentment, and that creates division. See how they think? Yeah, so anyways, yeah. I don't believe, I am afraid that people who have problems and need loving care have been messed with by these people in order to create division amongst the citizens. Now here's another thing I don't believe. Okay, the mass shootings and stuff like that lately. And you could just think about this. Lately, they've all been trans people. But it wasn't before. They were other groups. It's always a different group. And when these mass shootings started, before it was school shootings and church shootings, it was post office shootings. Now, I know this is because my father was a mail carrier. And it had never happened before. So it really caught my attention when there started to be post office shooting by disgruntled employees. Okay, so they pick a group for a while. And those are the ones who become the mass murderers. So now they have picked the trans people. Why do you think that is? Because they have created such a divide between the citizens. It is now, I mean, and the initials have gotten so long I can't even say it anymore. Okay, LGBTQ, etc. I don't even know anymore. I'm sorry. I guess I'm tired today. Yeah, I'm losing my track again. There's such a divide now that they created. So now that they've got like so-called sides, which there aren't really, well, let's make it look like it's the trans community doing this. No, I do not believe that trans people are more violent than others. Just like I didn't believe that postmen or mail carriers are like crazier than others when they get fired or whatever, they're not happy at work. Or, you know, young white men. It's just who they target at the time, and they have their reasons for targeting those certain people. Okay, now this is very, very wrong, and it is beyond evil. Beyond evil. Okay, so we've all been the victims, we've all been the targets of what I call they. And when I say they, I am not talking about, is it non-binary or whoever chooses those pronouns. That's not the they I'm talking about. I'm talking about the they, as in the powers that be, the evil ones. Yeah, okay. I hate this curve, it always scares me. They're the ones who are doing this because, all right, when I was young, there were never any of these mass shootings, or if there were, they were so rare. I mean, you're talking about every 20, 30 years, whatever, I don't know. But they were extremely rare. You never heard about them. Well, now they're all the time. And now the evil, I mean, is beyond evil. I think we need a new word for this level of evil to go after our children. Okay, now, remember, the ones doing these shootings are a target by they. Okay, the they. They do talk these people up. And we don't really know this because I think they do it incognito. And it's so easy these days with the internet. They can find these people who need love and care very easily. And they know what to say to them. Okay? So this is how they're creating the division. So it all started with creating a two-party political system, which doesn't really exist because it's actually a unisystem, and they are working together. Okay, now I know there are people in my family who would be shocked that I don't feel like I believe it. I feel like I know it. Okay? There are certain times in my life where I decide to be quiet about what I believe, know, and have experienced in my life because it's just one of those times where it is best to do so. So, now that things have changed again, I am going back to what I have been saying for years. Two sides of the same coin. Okay, we need to be more aware of this. I am not saying you have to agree with everybody. I am not saying you have to get along with everybody. I don't think that's possible. But what we need to start doing is realizing it is us, these citizens of the United States, in fact, the citizens of the entire world, against them, the powers that be, the governments, and then beyond the governments, because there is those above the governments. It doesn't stop there. It doesn't stop at governments. It goes higher. And I'm not talking about the creator. Okay? I'm talking about the evil. It's levels up. Okay? So, yeah, we have to start realizing that. And despite whether you agree with that person or not, and this does include religion too. Okay? Because that's one of the things that scares me about the right. They think you can only be good if you're, well, one certain religion. And it's not true. Okay? In fact, in my experience, yeah, it's not true. Anyways, no, that's not true. Religions, believe it or not, I'm going to say especially the Catholic Church, is part of the they. Okay? I'm not going to get into that. But anyways, we need to start becoming more aware of this. And regardless of whether you agree with something or not, okay, so I think that's where I'm saying, like, okay, I'm watching the conservative news, and I go to switch and look at the liberal news, and they are not even talking about anything the same, even if there's a big story. Okay, so here's my thing. Conservatives think the liberals are being deceived and lied to. Liberals think the same thing about the conservatives. Well, guess what? Both are right. Sorry, but both are right. Now, it is easy for them to find people who are off their rockers, don't see things level-headed, okay? Seem to lack morals, so to speak. Okay, so all these things, like say I was hearing, now I do believe a lot of the stuff about the schools because of my experience with my children. However, when it comes to things like, well, sex education, the gender stuff, all that, I hear a lot from people that it does happen. When I ask, professionals in the school that I know personally, have known all my life, they're saying, no, it's not happening. So I believe it's only happening in some areas in some schools. So, conservatives are being told it's happening everywhere. Liberals are being told it's not happening. Now, it's obviously happening somewhere, but probably not as much as the conservatives are told. Okay, so this is how they work. They're lying to both of us. Okay, so we need to put that shit aside. Okay, but when it comes to our children, I think we need to just, step back and keep our hands off of other people's children. Okay, because it's up to the family to teach morals. And this is another thing. I think we have given up our children to the government a long time ago, and that never, ever should have happened. I mean, the stuff I hear these days shock me, because when I was growing up, it was so different. So different. But anyways, I think we need to stop focusing on these opposing issues and start looking for our common ground, which I think is just obvious, that they have taken away our sovereignty, or at least they're attempting to, and they are almost there. And even as Americans, we need to be more vigilant. Just because you're repeatedly told that you live in the freest country in the world, which I love my country, I'm very patriotic, does not mean you accept that and let your guard down. Our attitude should always be, well, let's keep it that way. Now, we have lost ground, I believe. But still, I'd rather be here than anywhere else. We need to put all that other stuff aside and think about that. They're controlling us, and they're pitting us against each other so that they can continue to control us. They control us through fear and division. It's divide and conquer. I learned that in elementary school, and it is something that has always stuck in my head. I think certain things that I learned throughout my life stuck in my head for certain reasons. I think we all have that, like what I remember other people don't, and vice versa, because you're meant to do something with that at some point in your life. And I don't mean like on a grand scale, like you're going to be famous or something, because, it's not the way it works. Fame has nothing to do with anything. So anyways, I'm babbling again. I'm going to leave you with that. Blessed be, and make it a joyful one.